better roll them dice. You never know if it could change your life. Take a chance, you're neither wrong or right. You never know if you don't roll them dice. You better roll them dice. You never know.
Hello, Matt.
Howdy, Rob.
And hello, listeners. And welcome back to Dungeon Master of None. Welcome to
Season 28.
another
Earth.
Another book club, another DM book club. And we have something very... I think this is very special, Matt, for reasons that we will discuss. Yeah, we got a very special book club, and tonight we're going to be talking about Dungeon Crawler Carl.
Dungeon Carl. Yes,
Dungeon Carler. Crawling Dungeon Carl. Yeah,
Yes.
The hit phenomenon taking the world by storm.
It's a
Dungeon
book.
Crawler Carl.
Yes.
It's a book.
It's a popular book.
It's a very popular
by
book.
Matt Dinneman, and it's not just a book, it's a whole book series. There's maybe
There's
seven,
eight? There's
8
8 of them.
now. 8
Sorry, I think
now
8 has
of
now
time
come
of
out.
release.
Yeah.
And it's clearly about role-playing games. In fact, when you first told me about this book and I Googled, I'm like, what is this book? What is Rob talking about? Google immediately told me it was part of Lit RPG, or a literary role-playing game, science fantasy book.
That's right. And we'll talk about that in a moment because it's important. But yeah, I had kind of avoided this because it didn't really seem like my thing. But it became sort of impossible to ignore for a couple of reasons. One, they're making a TV show out of it. A live-action television show with
The
Seth
mark of any true good book.
Yes.
Is there a TV show?
With Seth MacFarlane attached. That's part
Okay.
one. Part two is that it just wrapped a Kickstarter for a role-playing game and trading card game by
Renegade Games.
Renegade Games.
Current
that
publisher of Vampire, yeah.
Drum roll, please. $298,000, which is a lot, which is almost as much as the Cosmere RPG, which I think was previously the world record holder for this type of Kickstarter.
It was and is.
Sorry, it is still, but it remains the reigning champion. But this puts it in the top 3, top 2. Is there anything else that's up in this
No,
range?
yeah. I mean, the Avatar one was
9
raised
million
a
or
lot
10.
of money,
Yeah.
and I guess you could bump it down to third depending on how you split out the CCG versus the TTRPG money, which you can't actually. I was ready to put some numbers into a spreadsheet, but you can't do that on BackerKit like you can in Kickstarter. So we'll never know. But it's got to be insanely popular.
Yeah.
So coming to a tabletop near you.
Yeah, coming to a board game shop, tabletop shop near you. Felt like I should figure out what this is about so that I can know whether or not it's worth my attention. So we read.
I think also controversially, you said this is our most controversial one, and I guess for me the controversy is. And we'll let you know by the end of the episode. Is this book any good? With all of our other DM of None book clubs, we're like, these are books that are, 100% no holds bar, fiction recommendations for any type of DM. They're just good books.
Yeah.
And you were like, I'm not sure about this one.
And we'll give you our verdict in a bit. Yes, this is a different type of review because everything else we've talked about, Matt and I have both read and been huge fans of, and said this is a good book and also a good book for DMs to read. I do, going into this, wasn't sure if that was the case for Dungeon Crawler Carl.
No. Dungeon
Crawler Carl. Before we jump into that, let's discuss. Let's
talk about the book and what we liked and didn't like about it. Yeah.
Well, first I want to talk about lit RPGs.
Oh, good. I don't know anything about this.
So-
I was just like, what the fuck?
So do you know what a lit RPG is?
Yeah, I mean, there's that Pride and Prejudice game. That's a really cool story game. You get some cards and stuff. I'm not sure of any others, but that one seems cool.
Close, but no. Entirely incredibly incorrect. No, a lit RPG, lit RPG is short for literary RPG, which is actually maybe not what it sounds like. It's even
It sounds like we want to play The Good Society, the role-playing game.
Yes, but that's not actually what it is. It's actually dumber. I'm sorry. It's a genre of fiction, mostly fantasy, but not exclusively, where you basically follow a protagonist in their role-playing game journey. Like you're literally like there's some contrived reason for them to be like literally in a scenario where they level up and grow stronger and gain items, and you're basically reading somebody go through like a computer role-playing game MMORPG scenario.
Yeah, it's like reading a Twitch stream a little bit.
A little bit.
A little bit.
Famous my I guess like understanding of this genre, I didn't know there were books, to be honest, but I knew that anime like Sword Art Online and like Dot Hack were kind of like this, like somebody gets transported into the world of a computer game and then
Like Tron.
like Tron. Actually it's a lot like Tron, except Tron doesn't like get so deep into the like now he's level 5 and can throw 2 fuser discs at once. So a key element of these books is that they're like very specific about, and now protagonist is level 2 and their skills go up to 5 and their, constitution is increased to 3 or whatever. This is, I'm just going to say, bizarre to me. This is very strange. But I as I have learned more about this, I have come to understand that this is what people want. Lit RPG is so it's like a concentric circles, right? Is part of progression fantasy. So like all lit RPGs, as I understand them, are progression fantasies. Not all progression fantasies are lit RPGs. But
what's a progression fantasy?
Progression fantasy is exactly what it sounds
that's
like.
where I'm hoping that like Zoran Mamdani becomes president of the United States. That's progressive
the world
fantasy
that New Yorkers are living in. It's a progression fantasy. Progression fantasy is when the protagonist again goes and gets powerful, right? They grow and get levels and items, and the focus is on getting more power, like a leveling up in an RPG.
Okay.
It is less specifically about the stats and modeling it after like a video game as a lit RPG is. As I understand it, and again, I'm not an expert, lit RPGs, I think, were invented in like Taiwan and Russia. Russia has a bunch of like a big like lit RPG community for some reason, and they invented the term. So many lit RPGs are published on a place called Royal Road, which is a website where you can read chapter by chapter any progression fantasy lit RPG you like. It's a little bit like AO3 or fanfiction.net, like you read chapters as people publish them, and you can vote on them and follow them. And anyway, Matt Dinneman published Dungeon Crawler Carl on Royal Road chapter by chapter, much like Charles Dickens published Great Expectations in the
or Herman Melville.
Herman Melville, exactly.
It's just another chapter in the magazine. Excellent.
Other popular fantasies on Royal Road have titles like Mother of Learning or Magical Girl Gunslinger, The Journey of Black and Red, Magical Girl, Mechanical Heart, The Years of Apocalypse, a time loop progression fantasy. But also there's some weird ones. One that's called
sounds interesting.
Beware of Chicken, which I'm like, I actually kind of want to click on this.
Yeah.
Anyway, so just to give you sort of an idea of like what the lit RPG progression fantasy is like.
Okay, like I don't want to disparage. This is not negative, right? But this is low art, right? This is like
this is low. This is low art. Correct.
And we love low art here.
We
so
do love low art here. Yeah, that's right. And here's the thing. I don't like this. I read a few of these. I went through them. I tried to like get a sense for it. It wasn't for me. That being said,
so you decide Matt definitely has to read this.
Yeah, and I was like, Matt, we got to read this. Well, the thing is, I do. Here's the thing. No, but here's the thing. Genuinely, when a thing is popular, I give it a chance. I'm like, I'm gonna engage with this and see if there's something there, so I can make a decision on my own whether or not to hate it. Because my instinct as a snob is to hate everything that is popular. In order to be a better hater, I need to watch or engage with the thing, right? So I need to
Yeah.
give it a chance. So I was like, all right, let's read this Dungeon Crawler Carl. I'm going to give it a fair shake, find out if it's any good. And we'll get to that.
So
Anyway,
lit RPG.
Lit RPG. So Dungeon Crawler Carl is, I think, safe to say, the most popular and successful lit RPG. And the thing that I don't really get, and that really wasn't for me, is I play video games. I like number go up as much as anybody else. I can even maybe like see like enjoying. I might watch a Twitch stream from time to time if I were really bored or hungover or something. I don't know. I would have enjoy watching somebody else make number go up. Reading number go up, is very. I don't get it. Doesn't really like appeal to me. But again, that's fine. Not for me. I'm glad people are reading. I genuinely am.
Well, should we
let's
get
talk
into
about-
what this specific?
Let's talk about this book now that we understand the ground that we're treading upon.
Okay,
So what is Dungeon
if you
Crawler
didn't follow
Carl
the
about?
instructions, if you didn't go to our Discord and follow the channel, a DM of None book club to see what book is coming up next, and you just
Spoilers
want to
ahead.
listen to the episode. Spoilers ahead for Dungeon Crawler Carl. After about like 2 minutes. It's essentially Running Man, in which the entire planet Earth is either killed or trapped in a real world video game hybrid created by something I can only describe as an intergalactic alien corporate AI with the personality of Mr. Beast that grew up only playing Diablo and World of Warcraft. And it's a TV show.
I think that's very accurate. I think that's entirely correct. Within the first 5 pages, most of Earth's population is smashed.
It's a very Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy opening. Well, it's like, hey, we're demolishing your planet.
Positive comparison that I can make for this book is Hitchhiker's Guide. Unfortunately, that's a bad comparison for Dungeon Crawler Carl, because Hitchhiker's Guide is a much better book that kind of has the same premise but much less video game violence.
Yeah, you shouldn't have reminded me of Hitchhiker's Guide, because I was like, oh yeah, Douglas Adams, at least when he was like a down on his luck BBC alcoholic journalist, he was very funny.
He was funny.
So yeah, and then our main protagonist is sort of also down on his luck, about to be broken up with his cheating girlfriend, ex Coast Guard cat owner named Carl, no last name given. And he just happens to be in the like not kill zone, which is inside a house for some reason.
Any building, any like covered area. He's outside chasing Princess Donut, the Persian show cat that he shares with B, and he I think he jumps out to try to get her, and while he is in his boxers catching Princess Donut, this happens, and most of Earth's population is instantly killed, and then everybody else is told to get inside, get in the dungeon, Carl, and then we're off to the races, I suppose.
When Carl and Donut go to the dungeon, and this is really not spoilers for anything beyond the like first chapter, they discover that, you know, this reality TV show that's going on is essentially, let's watch real people play Diablo. There's mobs to kill, and as you punch or sword or magic things, your level and set things go up. Donut becomes an intelligent creature pretty quickly, and a lot of hilarity ensues, as if, let's say, you just gave sapience to a pampered cat that you love but is also kind of annoying. And you know, that's very sweet. Carl is stuck in the unfortunate situation of not having pants, shoes, or weapons, but he still makes it work through ingenuity and pluck. And as Earth's population kind of descend into dungeon madness, like killing each other in like a Hunger Games style thing, he tries to remain true to himself and stick it to the corporate bastards, the real enemy, and lots of other things happen. But that's, I think, the no spoilers version of what's going on here.
Yeah. And just like a little bit more of like no spoilers talk before we get into the specifics about like what this book is like, because this is where I immediately hit a stumbling block, because it starts off again. I'm not picky. I don't care. Sure, everyone gets squished by weird alien grinder machines, and as far as premises go, fine. That's fine. I don't care.
Yeah,
I'm having fun. So like, he goes to the dungeon, and that's all well and good. And I think there's a little scuffle with some goblins, and then Carl gets a bunch of achievements, and like this is a funny bit. I think one time. It's funny. You go in. There's a bunch of like snarky achievements for all the things that he did. The AI makes fun of him for not wearing pants and not having a weapon and having a cat, and it's all very, very funny. And then he makes his way to a safe room so that he can open all of the loot boxes that he got with his achievements. This section, the achievements and loot boxes and the explanation from the game guide about what's going on, is like 30 pages, I think, like maybe more of literally just like, this is what's in the box. This is what the achievement says. This is an explanation about how the game works. And this is the very beginning of the book. This is like basically nothing has happened, and we are immediately into discussing statistics and items, and it's very like, it's you're 20% into the book before anything else, any like actual action happens after this. It's bewildering to me.
Yeah. I think the conceit is really interesting in that, like, how does just a regular guy stuck into, it's essentially like, the closest thing I can think of is honestly the Gore novels. Like, what if a regular or honestly going back to the original, like science fantasy, the Edgar Rice Burroughs Princess of Mars.
It's John Carter. It's John Carter.
There's
Mars,
a regular guy
just
who
is
an ex-soldier like Carl, and he's transported into another world where the laws of physics are mostly the same, but a little bit different. And for Carl, it's his ability to like squish things with his feet, and the AI has a little bit
about explosives.
Know about explosives, and luck out to have a magical cat friend that can shoot laser beams from her eyes that like makes him better than the average bear. Like for John Carter, it's he's from Earth. He's not actually the best warrior on Mars, but he has incredible strength and can leap through the air because he's from Earth gravity. And so it's very, very similar in that. It's like, hey, let's put this fish out of water protagonist to explore this. And then the other interesting thing is this dungeon operates not on the rules of like a CRPG, right? Not exactly a tabletop game. It would be the world's most complicated tabletop game, but a very detailed CRPG where you have thousands of skills and an unlimited inventory, and then you have to like figure out how to survive, because you're still just a real person who can die, and the other people stuck in this are also just real human beings.
And there's a growing cast of interesting personalities. Like, listen, I think Princess Donut the cat was doing a lot of work in these novels, and I like cats. Matt likes cats.
I love
it's
cats.
funny. It's funny. She's funny. She's well written. But there's a whole bunch of other crawlers, some of whom are good, some of whom are bad. All of whom kind of have their own neat thing that they can do. They, all develop special skills, and they have their own goals and personalities, and they're not really on screen all that much. There's not actually that much like interaction between Carl and
we're firmly in Carl's point of view. Like we're in his inventory system for half of the book,
But part of what keeps it going, I guess, is that the times when you do sort of like meet these other personalities, because there are a bunch of like interesting people also in the dungeon. it just so happens that most of the time we're not dealing with them. We're dealing with Carl's inventory system, like Matt said.
Yeah. Yes. I think one of the sort of fun thing is that the game goes and there'll be here's the structure of a typical novel. I read the first 3.
I also read the first 3, yeah.
Carl and Donut encounter some low-level mobs. They figure out how to deal with them. They get some prizes. They open those prizes. Their stats go up. And then we gloss over them dealing with more of those mobs. And then an interesting encounter happens. They meet some other crawlers. A quest activates. They fight a boss battle, which is always some sort of parody of some phenomenon or type of person from Earth in the early levels. And I think that's like kind of interesting to get a quick view of like going through this TV game show. I guess I kind of enjoyed that a little bit. And then we get, I guess the thing that was really interesting though to me about these books is then I have a criticism related to this. We get these hints of like what's going on with the galactic empire republic that everyone lives in, and why do they do this? The opening quote of the book is, that line about like Rome and its circuses, or the Colosseum is Rome, Rome is the Colosseum, or something like that. So I sort of get what Matt Dinniman is putting down here, but we're very, 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 very slowly revealed a little bit about the behind the scenes of this Running Man TV show.
Yeah, there's a corporation and a syndicate and a big galactic civilization, and there's clearly like factions, and we get some idea of like what they want, and it does seem interesting. But yeah, Matt and I read 3 books, and I feel like we're just beginning to like sort of maybe. No, that's not really even true. I'd say we're basically at the same level of understanding that I was at in book 1. Like there's a couple of pieces of information, but on a meaningful scale, I don't really know anymore.
Yeah. Let me see what I can lay out. I know that there's a company that's running the dungeon is in debt and not doing so hot. I know that the company that runs it is run by fish people, and they have like a fascist political party, that there's a sub faction of orcs. And then that there's also like the AI is independent of these and contracted out, and then that there's a whole other like overall bureaucratic galactic government, and that there may be a faction of people who believe the crawl is wrong, but they're very much in the minority. But this is all hints and pieces, and like I could not tell you what the like actual plot with this is going to be, and this is after like over 1,000 pages of the
book. It seems fairly obvious to me, based on Carl and some of the events of the last book, that the ultimate thrust of the story is Carl is probably going to take the fight to Borant, the corporation that's running this, and maybe the whole galactic empire itself. Somehow I feel like that's what we're driving at, which, you know what, that would be cool.
I think that is absolutely the end of this 18-book series or whatever. Is that Carl ends this sadistic game show that genocides entire planets for the entertainment of the galaxy,
which is good. Yeah, okay. Hunger Games did it first, but yeah, it's good. Whatever. It's but like the how long it is taking us to even start to get to that point is excruciating. And I guess like that's the main thing about these books to me, is that it feels like just a lot of filler. I especially in the last book, I found myself just sort of like I almost never skim fiction. I almost never like skip pages, but I was like, if I have to read about
what are you doing if I
have to read about these trains for another fucking page, I'm gonna lose it. And
here's a bad sign is when your author says in a preface at the beginning of the book, by the way, this is like weird and complicated, please stick with me. It's not a good sign. I
Not
felt
good.
my like heart drop as I got to the
Yeah.
third book.
There's this whole system of trains in the third book, and I assume it makes sense at some point. I just read recently. I read this book, Permutation City, by I think Greg Egan, which
Yeah.
is this high concept science fiction thing with some like math in it that I have no business even trying to like make sense of. I understood very little of like the core science fiction concept in that book. I've never been made to feel more stupid by science fiction than that book. I still think I understood what was going on more than I did in the stupid fucking train book because Greg Egan at least like was trying to like make it clear to his readers like what was going on. I'm not sure that Matt Dinniman really bothered. And the point is that a lot of the books are like this. It's just like a lot of explanation, a lot of exposition, a lot of descriptions of things, a lot of doing the same thing over and over again. And then Carl and Donut grinded mobs for a little while longer.
No.
And you know,
Here's another high point for me, Rob, is
great.
so that this is real people in an alien, like, you know, technology sufficiently advanced is just magic, simulation of a World of Warcraft dungeon crawl. Characters can cast spells, they can level up their skills, which makes them like actually stronger. I guess it like enhances their body or their effects on things. They can get magic items that let them turn invisible and fly and do all the superpower things that heroes do in fantasy. And that's all well and good. And the most fun part, because of course it's the first part that any like real world video game players have always tried, which is use the game mechanics of the system to your advantage to do unintended things. Like figure out that, the inventory system is unlimited. Well, great. I'll put a bunch of things in my inventory and then instantly drop them on someone to like crush them, or, you know, come up with other weird, unintended, wacky combinations. Abuse a no combat zone to get something that you be able to kill something you wouldn't normally be able to kill. Like I thought that was very clever and very enjoyable sort of action shenanigans.
This is the strong point, I think, of the books, and I think what Dinniman himself is most interested in is breaking, you know, using the game logic against itself, breaking the game, finding unintended uses, which is I agree, fun. And the most lavish descriptions and the most elaborate sequences are about how Carl does something that is absolutely not supposed to happen to, you know, achieve a great success against all odds.
Yeah, like here's one from the first novel. Carl kills like an evil slug snake that burrows through tunnels by building a giant like roadblock thing that it tunnels into and squishes itself somehow. Like that's great. You know, that's like what you want. That's what I want to do when I play a video game.
Right.
Is stack the barrels and then tip them over.
That's right.
To kill a thing that I shouldn't have been able to kill 10 levels early. And this novel series is full of instances like that.
Yes. Yeah, he does. He's always doing something, pulling something out of his inventory or combining things in a way that really you shouldn't do. But there's a loophole or is overlooked by the programmers, and this is funny. This
The
is
AI patches it out after. That's another. That was a joke I appreciated. The
Yes.
patching out of unintended consequences
Right.
that sometimes immediately kills some of the crawlers.
Yeah.
Another high point for me was the characters of Princess Donut. Right, we all had a player in one of our games who is just a pure agent of chaos.
Yep.
And that is what a sentient, pampered Persian prize cat would be in a role playing game if she was a wizard.
I found this depiction of a sentient, cat very convincing and appealing. I was like, yes, this is exactly if you gave a spoiled cat magic powers. This is precisely how it would behave and what it would do. This is funny and accurate. Yeah, absolutely a high point of the novel.
I guess another high point. It's a very minor one, but the jokes of picking a race and class in a book where everyone's like a human, and the classes are things like former child actor, and the joke of people picking their race and class without really thinking about it. That was quite funny. Compensated anarchist.
Compensated anarchist was a funny joke. Yeah, here's the thing.
The class of you're the people that they pay to throw the Molotov cocktail at the protest.
Yeah. Here's the thing. The book tries to be funny, and sometimes it is. I have to admit that there were times when I laughed. Like, here's the thing. This joke got old pretty quickly, but like there's a group of fairies that he describes as miniature winged soccer moms that is in like the first book, which I I did laugh at. And some of the achievements and items are actually like pretty funny. The AI has a thing for feet, so like he can never wear shoes. It's the thing is, these jokes are funny, but then like they keep going, and
for
like
several 100 pages, 1,000 pages. I'm assuming I haven't read past the third book, but
it's funny.
Yeah, I think the sort of very spoilers territory is as we're moving like farther into the books, Carl becomes more of a leader to the other dungeon crawlers, trying to get them to, survive the system as opposed to fight against each other, working together for their mutual benefit. Because fuck this. He didn't want to be a dungeon crawler. He wanted to go continue to fix boats.
That's right.
I guess I have a couple of specific low points, which I'll start off one.
I also
know you
have
do
some
too,
specific
Rob.
low points.
I want to get all of our high points out of the way.
I did want to say,
I
think overall did not enjoy the third book because of all the train shit. But
I love trains though.
But the thing is, I love trains, and it made me hate trains. I did like that there was a lot more interaction with the other crawlers, a lot of working together, and a lot of sort of like, getting to know them and building solidarity and getting to see the whole host of humanity working together. I liked that. I wanted to see more of that, but that I assume that's probably not going to persist through the rest of the books. But those parts I did enjoy a lot.
I like that the psychopathic killer guy was an ICE agent. Later on, you learn he had like a tragic past or whatever. But I did enjoy that. That makes sense. All right, so okay, I'll start off with a low point, which is when people meet each other in this Running Man TV show or whatever. There's not a lot of conversation about oh my God, who are you? It's so nice to see a person kind of stuff. We don't building deep and nuanced characters is not really this book series thing. Like by the third and fourth book, Carl and Donut have a whole nother person in their party, Katya, a shape-shifting tank and former art history professor, and we know very little about her personality other than she's shy at first and then becomes kind of sardonic, which they're all kind of
sort. Yeah. By the end of the book, Katya has a personality. We still don't know anything about her. We don't really know anything about Carl either. We know his dad sucked, and that he had a shitty ex-girlfriend.
We know his dad sucked, and his mom killed herself. Sorry.
Yeah, that's literally all we know about him, and that he worked for the Coast Guard. Yeah, and that was it. And that's fine, but that's about as much as we know about anybody, and that's the protagonist.
Carl's still kind of wins you over because despite him not having any depth, he responds like I think we would hope we would all respond to being put in the Running Man, which is I'm not going to kill another person. In fact, I'm even going to go on my way to not kill these like living sentient things that are part of the game. I want to like burn this system down, kind of fuck you all.
Carl is a great, it works really well in this book. He's a great sort of self-insert. Like he's a great vehicle for the reader, right?
An
he has
aspirational insert. Yes.
Yeah. He's but everybody else is kind of shallow. Honestly, the most characterization I think that anybody has is Princess Donut. And which is
she's
fine.
a cat.
But yeah, she's a cat. We're just gonna trade off on some low points. I do have like one sort of like middle point that I want to like circle back on in the end. It's neither a high nor a low, but like
give me a low point then.
Carl is 27 years old canonically.
Yeah.
That makes him Gen Z, right? Or maybe like a very, very young millennial. Why are all of his references and cultural touchstones shit from the 70s and 80s? I have a note here. In the second book, Carl's Doomsday Scenario, there's a reference to Geraldo and Al Capone's vault. Matt, do you know what that is?
Yes, because
I don't. I don't. Geraldo was off the air when I was like 12 years old.
Geraldo,
like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like he mentions Knight Rider and the A-Team. Like what Gen Z person knows anything about Knight Rider or the A-Team? Matt Dinneman, your Gen X is showing, sir.
Yes. Well, okay. If Dungeon Crawler Carl was, and damn, you got to give props to Matt Dinneman for fucking churning these out, being a fucking machine. Props to you, sir, for being a novelist, making fucking money. We love to see it.
I'm not even mad about it. Good for you. Get your bag.
We're truly proud, and get your fucking bag. Because the first one came out, there's 7 of these in 2020, which is less than 7 years ago as of recording of this. So
this is Brando Sando level of writing. You know, he's putting them out. Yeah.
This is that would put him born in 1993, assuming the events of the novel take place in the year that it was first published. So yeah, 1993, that would be like the youngest millennial, I think.
All right, fair enough. He's a young millennial.
So maybe Carl, well, we know Carl is a single child. I was going to say had an older sibling who could tell him about Knight Rider.
Okay, fair enough. Maybe an older brother or somebody.
But we know he didn't. So no, you're absolutely right. All of the references are not younger millennial Gen Z. They're firmly Gen X pop culture.
All right, your turn for a low point.
I would also say for a 27-year-old like buff dude bro who's kind of cool, he sure acts like a nerd in his late 40s or 50s, which I am partial to, so I'm not going to complain. But his like maturity about things is, Anyway, it's fine. I like that Carl is a little bit of a dumbass. But
I actually do like that Carl's kind of dumb. Like he's just like a. Yeah, I appreciate that. I do like this part of him is that he's a little bit naive, a little bit just kind of stupid. Yeah.
I'll hit you with another low point, which is these novels are incredibly long.
So long.
And they're not hard to read. They sort of dissolve in your brain like Wonder Bread in your mouth. There's not not a lot of like challenging sentence or story construction, and that's totally fine. It makes reading these very long novels easy.
I was gonna say they go down easy. Like it took a long time, but like it was, I don't know, like a smooth paste,
like a smooth paste. But I will say my low point is because they are so long and because it's very clear that like by about book 2 that like, oh, we're doing all 18 levels of this dungeon or thereabouts, right? With these books that the slow burn of the actual plot, which is like humans versus evil alien reality TV show, is just, not only are you in real life going to have to wait, even if Matt Dinniman does not slow down on this, another 7, 8, 10 years for him to finish the 18-book series, but you in real life are going to have to burn countless hours and pages to get this this plot out. And for me, that's just too slow
Yeah.
for a big meta plot.
Yeah. It's too slow. There is some interesting stuff here. This is sort of my objection to self-publishing in general, and I'm sorry, everyone. And I know that there are some people who cannot get traditionally published, and that this is an option for them. But almost every popular self-published book I have read, my main takeaway is that this could have benefited from an editor. This needed an editor to say, cut this. 9 times out of 10. And I think there are some, like, there's a decent rollicking fantasy romp that is kind of like unique, like a combination of Hitchhiker's Guide and I don't know, just wanton video game violence. But this would need to be heavily edited down to make that readable.
Yeah, like a high point related to this is like, oh, I do want to find what happens. I have no idea how many books there were in the series when I started reading. I was like, oh, I'll read the first 3. That'll be most of the plot. And I'm like, oh no, we're still basically maybe not even halfway through.
Entering the 5th floor. All right, here's a low point for me, Matt. How based on what is in the books, how do you think that Matt Dinniman feels about women?
Well, if they're lady cats, they're great.
Women that are not cats.
Okay. Yeah, they can either be old, muscular and Icelandic, mousy and Icelandic, or like nubile, elfin, and naked.
They can also be villains. They can also be crackherons. They can be fat homeless women who have been turned into neighborhood bosses. They can be fat fairies that look like soccer moms. They can be HR representatives that also look like soccer moms. They can be Bee's mother.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the
I'm just there's look, I don't want to like be too woke about this, but there's like a lot of like ways of talking about women in these books that made me feel ever so slightly uncomfortable. You know, there's a lot of lurid descriptions of, and this is dead hookers. This is an actual phrase in the book. In the second book, you know, it's just you know, I'm picking up just a little bit of distaste for a certain type of woman in these books.
Yeah, no, I think that's very fair. I thought at first the like reference to these monsters and who are like stereotypes of women, like Karens or soccer moms or HR ladies that somehow made every right winger in the world lose their mind, which is, you know, it's the Australian HR.
That's right.
TikTok
These dancing HR ladies in Australia are the reason why white civilization is falling. That was really funny.
And I do think, and I think probably if you asked Matt Dinniman, he would say that, well, this is the aliens parroting our own like hatreds and stereotypes back to us.
Yes.
Like we've taken the things that were worst about your society, treating people like you know, crazy soccer moms or annoying HR people, and turn them into monsters that you can kill. Isn't this fun? And that Carl recognizes the tragedy that this is, because he sort of uniquely is the only one who kind of feels this way at this level of the dungeon, which is also kind of weird. But I do have to agree with you that maybe that was what he was going for. Whether it is or not, that's not exactly what he achieved on the text.
I'm gonna double up on this, because this is my other like major low point objection, is that you know, there's the AI, the sort of like meta consciousness in its like achievements and comments is pretty nasty sometimes, and it's funny. Like it's sometimes it's
Yeah.
funny. And Carl is like, "Oh, this stuff is like pretty lame." Like he literally is like, "Oh, these cheesy achievements or whatever." But like the effort and sort of like I would say joy with which they are inserted into the book suggests to me that Dinniman does like them, that does think this stuff is funny.
Yeah.
And this is, I think, a big, this is maybe like my main objection is that I'm not sure that the book, like, I think there's something really funny here. I think there's sort of like, there's moments when this book is very like meta and self-aware, and I think that's very
Yes.
funny. But most of the time, it is being played 100% straight, just like absolutely like this is how it is, and you really can't have it both ways. Like you've got to kind of. We talked about this with the Bright Sword, right? If you are a good writer, if you're a really good writer, you can put in some like modern day jokes said by your Arthurian knights because you're a good writer. In the same way, you can have sort of like your uh, AI telling uncomfortable sexist jokes in a way that is meant to highlight that this is about human society, but you got to be a good writer, right, to do that. And I'm not sure that Dinniman is quite achieving that. And the sort of like mismatch in those things is my main problem with these books.
Yeah, yeah, it gets very old, especially after you've been reading 1,000 pages of it, and it's another joke about Karens, um, and you know, I just feel like the lack of maybe this is the point everyone's been trapped by the rat race and they've forgotten who the real enemy is, which seems to be the like capitalist superstructure of the galaxy, maybe. That they can't think straight anymore. But like, I don't know. I would just expect the human crawlers and characters of the book to react with just like another joke about like drug addicts or or Karens. Like, does this really matter? Like, this is
Yeah.
you've insulted everything about our civilization, and this is what and genocided billions. Is this really
Is this
what
is
you're
this
going
important?
for? And just to be so angry all the time. Carl's angry, but no one
Carl's
else
angry.
really
Carl
seems
is
to be.
again. Carl is responding correctly and appropriately, and that's what we like about him.
Yeah.
All right. Let's drive towards.
Okay. Let's.
I got one more observation, but I don't want to steal any of your.
Go ahead.
Steal of any of your things.
Please go ahead. So
the other sort of
'cause
like
we
bewildering
got to
thing
talk about the RPG.
is that Dinniman is clearly like very well read, and a lot of like the things in these books are surprisingly like deep references. Like I missed this until I read it somewhere else, but like the goblins in the first book all have fruit. They all carry fruit around. This is a reference to a poem called "The Goblin Market" by Christina Rossetti, which is all about goblins with plates of pineapples and things like that. And he, later on, he makes an offhand reference to Andre Norton, one of the first female science fiction authors. He has a bunch of like obscure art references that I had to look up. Like he knows lots of things. This is all wasted on his audience, by the way. Sorry, no offense. I'm sure they're nice people, but I don't think they're getting
they're
any of the like
glurping it up.
They're glurping it up. So I don't know. I guess I appreciate that. I enjoy feeling smart and getting the references, but it's I guess I was bewildered by this because I'm like, you're a smart guy. What's the deal with the rest of this? Anyway,
I think final takeaway, if you want a book about a video game that is occasionally funny, has some interesting action, does spend a lot of time on inventory management and crafting as if you were in a video game, and are okay with not getting the full like plot of the novel sometime in the next 10 years or 5,000 pages, this is the book for you, because it is kind of it is a fun read. And I will say the biggest missed opportunity here, other than the things we mentioned, like it being shorter, or having more developed human characters that you could connect with, is I was sort of expecting, and listeners who've read the whole thing, you can correct us if this comes up later, some other like meta commentary on like, what's going on here, because we're readers observing Carl like the evil audiences of the galaxy and wanting him to go on like disgusting, wacky adventures and almost die for our entertainment. What's going on there? What's the like message here? But I don't think we're gonna get that until much later. So
Yeah. Listen, I did enjoy mostly reading these. I listen, they're free with Kindle Unlimited. I might keep reading. It's nice to have something on my phone to do besides scroll, and I I try to read. I don't read books like these not because I'm like too good for trashy novels, just like I have such a big backlog of good books I need to read that I never get to them. But like, unlike when I'm trying to read a good book, I don't have to worry that I'm going to miss like a good sentence or like, any sort of important plot point or nuance. So I can just kind of like plow through these. So they're yeah, like I said, they go down smooth. So this is not to say that they are not enjoyable. I do not entirely get the phenomenon, but that's okay. That's fine. People are reading books.
When we talk about a book on Dungeon Master of None Book Club, we like to bring up like, what is the Dungeon Master advice that you can get from the book? And I'll start us off with one or two things, Rob, which is in a certain type of sci-fi or even fantasy campaign, there is often a chance for players to enter a hologram or some kind of simulation where a different type of logic applies, a different grammar for speaking and interacting with you, the DM. And this book is all about a guy who discovers that he has an unlimited inventory and can craft explosives on the fly. And how would he solve problems or he has a magical cat that if they talk to any NPC, he becomes immediately charmed. How would he interact with the world differently? And so I think there is a fun way to implement this in your games, which is players, I think, any player who has played a video game from The Sims and Stardew Valley to Mass Effect knows that there's this video game logic and expression to interact with the world, and if you want to give your players the chance to do that, that can be really, really fun. What if I put this falling rock into my inventory and then take it out again? Does it maintain its same
momentum,
velocity and momentum? Yes, it does. Oh, you use it as a missile and it takes them by surprise and you knock out the perfect. Okay, great.
There's a lot of things that are not applicable, but I think that what is revealed to me, and this has been true of my experience running games, is that players do like getting stuff. They also like choice or the illusion of choice. And there are several sections in Dungeon Crawler Carl where he's presented with choices. And often these sections are way too long and kind of grueling. However, I did find myself kind of like thrilled to be like, oh, what race is Carl going to choose? What class? What magical item is he going to pick? I mean, I would have as a writer approached these situations differently, but I understand the excitement, and I think that opportunities to give your players meaningful choices, even if it is just what cool thing they're going to get, is exciting and rewarding and important to bear in mind.
I guess my other big DM takeaway here, the later books are very good at building like sort of wacky worlds, and so you can get some inspiration from that. But like my other like piece of advice from this book is that a lot of, and this is intentional, it's not bad writing on this book's part, but a lot of the conflict of the book is there's like video game logic. Are these mobs aggroed or not? Oh, they had a smoke in my experience, that sort of kind of Looney Tunes game can be really fun, but it's not how I don't run Toon the RPG most of the time.
Right.
I run games where it's like, oh yeah, we're trying to treat parts of this, either your character interactions as if they're a real story, or you're really inhabiting this character, or we're writing a story that we want to be good together, not that we're all playing a video game together in our imagination. So don't resolve conflicts using loopholes in the system. Resolve them using like characters' wit, ingenuity, or like making hard choices.
I would also say I think we both talked about how we wanted more from this, but I think the other sort of like big name crawlers are kind of a good way to think about building NPCs or foes or rivals. You don't know a lot about a lot of them. There's a girl, Lucia, who enters the dungeon with 2 Rottweilers and becomes some sort of gigantic monster, and is like the most terrifying thing in the dungeon. There's Hecla,
She maybe
who's
doesn't believe it's real, or
Yeah,
something, or
it's-
even if she does, she doesn't care anymore. She's clearly
she's
had
like a
some trauma
13-year-old
going
girl.
on.
She's possibly
Yeah.
insane or has had her brain broken. I think you meet her later on. I haven't met her. We haven't actually met her yet, but like that's a very interesting. That's just like that's a couple of descriptions. Young girl turned into a scary monster, 2 Rottweilers. There's Hecla, who's a Icelandic psychiatrist turned into some sort of like Valkyrie shield maiden. There's Preopotente, who is a goat that was made sentient like Donut, and is now a gigantic warrior mage thing. Like these are just like just their physical description and like a little bit about them. But this is a genuinely, I think Dinneman does have like a gift for being like, what's a weird, interesting combination of things, because he does this with his monsters too. And I think there's a lot of good examples of uh, people that could be cool NPCs, and how to think about just throwing a bag of traits together and seeing what comes out.
Yeah. Before we get to the RPG, my question to you, and this is an unfair question to ask you, Robert, because I've already thought about the answer. But Rob,
Sure.
how would you, if you, after having read the book and not thinking about what you may already know about the Kickstarter, if you wanted to run a dungeon crawler Carl, a DCC game, what system or like what mechanics would you use? Bonus points if you can work dungeon crawler classics, the system, into your answer.
I was thinking about this as I was reading it, because of course I was, because this is what I think about. And the hallmarks of Dungeon Crawler Carl and the World Dungeon are a few things. An important one is skills that progress by using them, right? And we discussed this in our if you liked this video game, play this. But that's not a common way of doing things in the TTRPG space. The other is levels and classes and races, like a huge variety of them. And so this is maybe like thousands. This is maybe a lazy answer or a cop-out answer, but like I would run it in some kind of modified OSR system. I would pick like something very loose. I would staple on a bunch of class and race combinations and go from there. That would be sufficiently grueling. There's leveling, potentially infinite leveling if you want there to be. I don't know. This is me. I would homebrew some kind of stats go up as you use them thing, but that's not really even necessary. But that was what I was thinking without even looking too deeply into the Kickstarter. What would you do?
Well, this reminds me of a game I played by several time guests of the show, run by several time guests of the show, Andy, where I believe the system was Fate, and we had 2 character sheets. One for our characters in a cheesy 1940s sci-fi serial, and the others as our actors in right before the war Hollywood. And the consequences in the fake world of the sci-fi show were real, is that if we died in the show, like our character was cut out, their contract was over, but we had to deal with like weird studio bosses and like things that were going on. And that was like, it was a formative experience for me as a role player, because I was like, oh, this is kind of what's going on with Dungeon Crawler Carl, in that the video game, the dungeon is real, in that its consequences are real, but it's not the real story we're
Right.
telling. Like, I don't give a shit about whether the goblins do whatever or Carl completes, his quest or whatever. Those are like sort of meaningless. They have a little more meaning in that these NPCs might actually be sentient or whatever, or maybe we shouldn't do cruelty for cruelty's sake or something. But they don't matter. The story is,
Right.
do you survive, and can you get sponsors and things, and maybe like save your planet or the whole galaxy or something. So if I was writing the Dungeon Crawler Carl series, it's very clear by book 3 that Carl is like basically the most important crawler. He's not number 1 on the list, but like everyone knows his name and he's becoming the leader. And that's pretty early on in like what happens as we've gone from a mindless dungeon of just grinding to things with themes and things involving aliens and stuff like that. So if you actually want to tell the story that is not just a dungeon crawl, which there's plenty of systems for that, you would want to say something like, if Renegade Games and Matt Dinneman came to me and are like, write a role-playing game for this book, I would start off with the premise of something along the lines of the Borat Corporation and the Galactic Syndicate have colonized and destroyed and turned into a reality TV show, many worlds. However, recently they've begun expanding laterally, like any good corporation, to alternate dimensions. And so while the Carl and Donut that you know and love are on, Earth 31C or whatever, on another Earth, your Earth, the Borat Corporation is also genociding everyone and sticking the survivors in a dungeon, including you. So like you make a character sort of the same, like you have sort of a real world set of statistics, and then you'll have dungeon kind of tag statistics that go in. But the actual plot is, hey, can you save your world? But the like dungeon encounters would work in a simplified manner. I wouldn't want to do like a full combat system for dungeon crawling, though I think that might be what fans wanted. I would do something like, here is the challenge. There's, exploding hobgoblins. How do you deal with them? You come up with a way to deal with them. And then once you've dealt with them, they're no longer a challenge until the situation changes. And so it would be more of a tagging fate like system, where you basically got to come up with your own skills and classes, and you would tag when those happened, and we'd have a bunch of wacky random tables for bonus loot. But the real plot of the game is like every, let's say, 1 or 2 sessions would be a dungeon level, and there would be a couple dungeon encounters to describe what's going on. But the real plot of the game would happen in these weird alien, reality TV shows and interviews where you learned clues about galactic politics, and then you could try and take those clues back to influence your dungeon behavior to shape the fate of your world, your loved ones who survived, and maybe the galaxy as a whole.
I think that's a great idea. It makes me think of Deathmatch Island, which
maybe that's the system I would use. Uses the Aegon system.
Aegon, which is close. But I agree with you, actually, and I think that a lot of fans want the other thing. But I think the more interesting game, the more interesting system would be one that sort of hand waves most of the combat and focuses on, what happens, what decisions are made, and how do you affect the crawl and or sort of the greater plot going forward floor to floor.
Right. And then, you could like part of the game system, I think, is you would give them the setup of the video game logic of this floor as they discovered it, and then players can describe how they abuse that to their advantage, or sometimes you can use as the DM to your disadvantage to kind of knock them down a peg. And there could be real consequences that they die and then they have to pick up an allied crawler or something like that. But then I would want the campaign to be able to play floor 1 to whatever the conclusion of this novel is, as if you are the dungeon crawler Carl. Like, you and your party are the ones who are like, whether just by pure luck, as in Carl's case, or by some other force, you're like, no. Not only are we going to finish this crawl and survive it, we're going to have some influence beyond this maze we rats are trapped in.
Yeah.
And so there would be mechanics for doing that.
Yeah. I do think that would be more interesting. So let's talk about what actually is happening.
Yeah. So like Rob said, this may raise millions and millions of dollars, and we can't really give it a good review because this backer kit, fundraiser did not give us like a quick start or like a huge preview beyond the simple mechanics of the rules. But tell us sort of as best as you can, Rob, what we do know about the Dungeon Crawler Carl role-playing game.
So we know it's a D20 system. And we know that it's skill-based, that it's all about what skills you have and how many points you have, and everything is, I think, a skill interaction. It's got,
you have stats. The skills are open-ended. It seems like you get to make them up, which is I think a good step. Yeah,
which is good.
Supposed to be millions of skills in this game, thousands of classes. The rulebook can't list all of those, and you want your players to be funny and creative. They want to come up with the next former child actor class.
right. You do that funny stuff. So yeah, I think your skills just have and your stats just have a mod like they do in the book, and you just roll your D20 and you add those things together, which could get to be some pretty big numbers, but I suppose if it's balanced correctly, that should work just fine. Based on what we have, it doesn't seem particularly complicated. I do have a lot. I mean, the sort of like big question to me is like, what do the classes do? What do the races do? Because there's supposed to be a lot of them. This is what sort of like this main thing I was thinking while reading the book is I'm like, Jesus, there's thousands of race and class combinations. Are you gonna try to do that in this RPG? Because listen, it's dumb to me.
It's kind of a joke in
the world of
book.
Dungeon Crawler Carl that there are that many choices, and it's especially dumb to try to like actually do that. So
it's really hard to tell with having read the adventure.
30 races.
Yeah, no, there's no reason for any of that, because they all in the at least in the text of the novel do things like, with a few exceptions, give you like a 5% boost to like some stats or something, or except in the Icelandic woman's case, Katya's case, which it's like you're a metamorph, you're Mr. Fantastic or something like that. Okay, I think the big thing that I was seeing from the previews that we got, which we were not 100%, right? We've got some example character sheets and a couple of sponsored reviewers talking about the system, is it does seem like the focus of the action of the game is about moving through a mega dungeon. And I just sort of feel like we already have a lot of comedy dungeon games.
We do.
And the cool thing about Carl's story is that it's a video game and there's something else happening. And it does seem like there are some like tidbits about, you'll get sponsors and you'll go on interviews. But looking at the character sheet, I don't really see how that mechanically interacts with the story. We're also given, as some of the character sheets, examples, and it seems like in the starter box, you're given the character sheets of like Carl and Donut, and then you can play through their story. And I'm like, is that really what a role-playing game is? I kind of already read their story. I'd like to tell my own.
Yeah. My concern about this is much the same as the concern that I had about the Cosmere RPG, which is that people are just going to play the main character's story arc, and that's not very fun. This is better, I think, than Cosmere in that you can just have a different crawler doing the crawl, and that's still fun. But that doesn't seem to be necessarily what's on offer here. I gotta say, there's a lot of doodads and addendums on this backer kit page, and I feel like perhaps there's a lot of effort being put in here to get people to buy dice bags and season passes and um, playing card decks and TR, and just a bunch of a bunch of
First
stuff.
off, half of this is for a CCG, which we will be not, and nor ever will we be talking about,
Right.
a trading or collectible card game.
Correct.
And then you're absolutely right. I think a lot of this is like, maybe I'm not, don't really care if this dungeon crawler Carl role playing game is any good or not, because I'm getting these cool Carl miniatures or this cool Carl DM screen that I'm going to use in my other role playing games, and perfect. That's great. But it doesn't really tell us anything about the, the role playing game.
So, yeah. Unfortunately, that's all that we can say about it. Listen, I was pretty disappointed and also upset, and also it was frustrating reading the Cosmere RPG. So, anything might happen, but I don't think that I care to read this RPG when it is released. I cannot imagine that it has anything new to offer, but maybe people will enjoy it. What do I know?
The focus of the action, again, seems to be on the actual mechanical level of crawling through a dungeon.
Yeah.
And that it could be there's a way to write that where it is funny enough that it could be fun. So I will withhold my judgment. Of course, they could, in the however many years it takes them for this to come out, maybe do some other interesting things where maybe the game is not just about dungeon crawling as a real person, but exploiting video game mechanics and sticking it to the galactic man, in which case I would be all in. So I'll withhold my judgment in case either of those things happen, because I mean, wait, Rob, have you played Paranoia? Like we get that, cartoonish TTRPGs that are funny and a joke can be lots of fun.
They can be a lot of fun.
If this leans, I suppose, even if they don't take my advice and or my imagined role-playing game that I came up with before we did this episode in my head, where the game is about the broader meta narrative, this still could be a good game if they put together a Paranoia like parody dungeon crawl in which you as normal people have to survive. That could be fun. The writing would have to be really good. The jokes would have to be really good, but that could be fun.
And I will say that based on the writing on the backer kit, it didn't knock my socks off, but the jokes were good, and it was self-aware and funny and captured the voice of the Dungeon Crawler Crawl books. So if they really lean into that, and it's a Paranoia style parody, kind of jokey, fun, self-aware game, then I think this could be genuinely pretty cool. But
I think the danger is that the people who are making this game and the community that's supporting it are true fans of whatever emotional journey that Carl and Donut have been on by book 7, and they want the sincerity too. And I'm not sure if a game that is as granular as here's a 100-page book full of monster stats for cocaine kobolds and meth gnolls or whatever is really going to deliver that. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
We'll see. Well,
I will read it when it comes out, Rob, so you don't have to, and I'll let you know whether it's worth our time.
all right. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Did you switch to, so we didn't really like Dungeon Crawler Carl. It's like, I think the Douglas Adams would say, it's mostly harmless, and will go down easy and can be a lot of fun at parts. It's just too fucking long.
Too long,
addition to other
mostly.
Did you start reading anything else? Like, I had to immediately start reading a different speculative fiction book after this, because I'm like, all right, I need to read something with characters who have like feelings, who maybe have sexual urges or like inner or interested in other people. There's no sex in either.
You're gonna love this. Books, I started. I've had this on my bookshelf for a while. I started reading Dictionary of the Khazars, which is a postmodern, like, lexicon novel that presents a fake history of the Khazars through 3 different perspectives. It's both like fictional and not. Anyway, yes, I did. I had to read something that would like actually engage my brain. So I picked up the biggest, dumbest, smart guy book that was still fictional that I had, and started reading that because I was feeling dumber for having read so much Dungeon Crawler Carl.
You're like, I am smart man, must read smart book. No. No, that's perfect. I stayed in like low to mid art. I started reading T Kingfisher, aka Ursula Vernon's romantic fantasy series, The Saint of Steel. Paladin's Grade, which is a cozy murder mystery romantic fantasy. I'm like, oh, finally, characters who like I don't know, have emotions,
have emotions and feelings,
fall in love. Let's see, get horny.
Yes,
I was just like, Carl is like never horny.
Carl is never, which is weird. Yeah, which is strange.
So a 27 also, buff, attractive man who is never
least
horny.
Important thing.
I mean, he's been through a lot of trauma. Sure, I think
he's got a lot going on. I understand. It's just like at no point
he was being cucked. There's a lot of bad things happening.
Does he appear to notice any of the the women in the novel? I think it's important that I tell everybody that canonically I can bench press more than Dungeon Crawler Carl can. He specifically tells us that he can bench press 230 pounds. I can bench press more than that. So that's
nice. But not after his strength has been in.
That's right. That's at the beginning.
So
that's
Rob,
the beginning of the novel.
He's beat you again.
Before his strength has been enhanced. All right. So that's Dungeon Crawler Carl, everybody. Now you know what the phenomenon is all about. If you did read this and have thoughts, hop on over to our Discord. There's a thread for you to join and discuss. If you haven't, maybe we saved you some time. Check it out or don't. It's like I said, it's mostly harmless. You won't be worse off for having read it, probably, except for the time that it took you to read it. So
no, I don't. Despite all of our criticisms, because we're the most like critical book reviewers.
We are so
really
not.
Regret?
We are so not. We are genuinely, I think, very middle of the road. I think we try to be very nice.
Good. I mean, I don't regret having read at least the first one.
Yeah.
I maybe.
I kind of wish I'd stopped after 2. To be honest, I think I'd gotten the picture after 2. A lot of people say. So here's 2 things, Matt, that don't matter. But sorry. A lot of people say that it gets better after 3. That's dumb. I don't think you should need 1,000 pages for a book series to get good, but like that's what people say.
Sure.
2.
Yeah. Okay.
A lot of people listen to this on audiobook, which I do not. I'm not against audiobooks, but it's too slow. I read faster. Apparently the narrator is very good, and that is like a big part of the appeal of these books is that they are fun to listen to.
I didn't know there was an audiobook.
Yes.
That makes a ton of sense because there's a lot of jokes that I think probably work just as well or better read aloud. Yeah.
I think that if I continue to try to like just to know what happens, because I do want to know what happens, I may just like This will be a thing I listen to when I'm folding laundry or, doing dishes or something like that. But
just like our podcast, where you can contact us.
Don't listen to Dungeon Crawler Carl. Listen to us first, and then
while you're folding laundry. dmofnone@gmail.com. Discord link in the show notes. Show nuts. Oh boy,
show nuts.
Everyone's show nuts. Everyone's unsubscribing now. But if you want to subscribe for more episodes, patreon.com/Dungeon Master of None. Twice the crawls, twice the Rob. Dungeon Crawler Robs.
Dungeon Crawler Rob. Dungeon Crawler Matt. Matt, do you think you would survive if you were put into the world dungeon? No, I would die. I would absolutely.
I would kill one.
I have no like self-preservation. Like I would. Carl's always like making smart decisions. I'm like, I would have just gotten killed there. I would have gone into that room and just gotten mulched immediately. I'm. Anyway. Yeah. Also,
if I had one of my magical cat friends with me, then
that would be nice.
Then maybe I would fight for their sake, because I love my cats.
I love my cats too. Thanks for listening, everybody. And whatever you do, keep rolling them dice.